and so on. But why is it very important? Because Lord Ramchandra appeared. Similarly, Moon dynasty, the Chandra dynasty becomes very important because Lord Krishna personally appeared. So in the ninth canto, actually Shukadeva Goswami is very quickly explaining how so and so happens. He gradually comes from where the dynasty in which Mother Devaki comes, the dynasty in which Vasudeva comes, the father king, and the children that Vasudeva and Devaki had. And obviously, the eighth child of Vasudeva and Devaki is Lord Shri Krishna. And then because Krishna is important, all important personalities Shukadeva Goswami gives briefly. So, and Krishna, Parikshit Maharaj, one of the fundamental questions that Parikshit Maharaj wanted to hear from Shukadeva Goswami was to hear elaborately about Krishna's pastimes. So he naturally explained or briefly summarized Lord Krishna's pastimes. So in this verse, these next two verses that we are going to read, this is Shukadeva Goswami briefly summarizing all pastimes of Krishna. So please repeat after me. Jato kata pitta grihat vajame tato hatva vipun sutasatani kito udara उत्पाद्यते शुभविशा कृतवी समीजे आत्मानमात्मनिगमं कथयञ्जनेषु. Yeah, you all can try a little more confidently. You can repeat again. Okay, everyone, I request everyone to recite this verse more confidently. Jato gata pitpadvihadvajam eti tato Atva vipun sutasatani pito vidada Utpadyate purusha kvatubhi samije Atmanam patayanjanishu. So in this verse, let us all read this, the translation of this verse, because this is very important. All the pastimes of Krishna, Shukadeva Goswami is briefly explaining to Parikshit Maharaj. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, known as Leela Purushottam, appeared as the son of Vasudeva, but immediately left his father's home and went to Vrindavan Dham to expand his loving relationship with his confidential devotees. In Vrindavan, the Lord killed many demons. So obviously in previous Krishna Katha series, other devotees very elaborately explained these pastimes. But in short, everyone knows that Lord Krishna appeared in the jail because Kamsa had imprisoned Vasudeva and Devaki when he heard that the eighth child of Vasudeva and Devaki is going to be the person responsible for his own death. So even though Devaki is his own sister, he imprisoned them. And then as soon as Krishna appeared, Vasudeva, he instructs Vasudeva to take Krishna to where? Vrindavan. And who become the parents in Vrindavan? Anyone can? Yes, Nanda and Yashoda. So this is the first part of the pastimes, right? And then comes the later part. And what happens afterwards? And afterwards, he returned to Dwaraka, where according to Vedic principles, he married many wives who were the best of women, begot through them hundreds of sons, and performed sacrifices for his own worship to establish the principles of household life. So Krishna, in Vrindavan, he killed many demons, but he also enjoyed a lot of very nice, sweet pastimes with his devotees who were extremely loving in Vrindavan. In Dwarka and Mathura also, Krishna had very, very loving devotees like Vasudeva and Devaki, Uddhava, and so many others. Their love, however, was little more formal, with some tinge of awe and reverence. So it is considered extremely deep, but it is with awe and reverence. So in Dwarka, what Krishna did was he obviously established the Dwarka city. Dwarka city was not existing prior to it. Krishna arranged it to appear. And then he married many queens. Obviously, all those queens themselves wanted to marry Krishna, and Krishna fulfilled the desires of these devotees. And then he had hundreds of children through them, because he married hundreds and thousands. He married 16,108 wives. It may look Come on, how is that possible? But Krishna can expand. So he was present with all of his wives when he would come back from the parliament. Amazing, no? This is what Krishna is. God. That's why Krishna is God. And he led an ideal householder life while performing sacrifices. So in Krishna says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glane bhavati bharata advyuthanam dharmasya tadatmanam srijamiham pavitvanaya sadhunam vinashaya cha duskritam dharma samsthapanataya sambhavami yuge yuge. So Krishna comes to protect the sadhus and vinashaya cha duskritam, right? Whenever the adharma has increased, so what does he do? He ensures the miscreant population reduces. So that we'll read here. So after he returns to Dwarka, he married many wives. And then the next verse comes. Vidyasavai guru bharan shapayam kavunam anta samutta kalina yadi bhupachamba dishtya vidhuye vijaye jayamadvigoshya tochya davaya chapadam samagat svadhama. Thereafter, Lord Shri Krishna created a misunderstanding between the family members just to diminish the burden of the world. Just now we spoke, na? Vinashaya Dushkritam. So like the Kaurava, like headed by Duryodhans, Kauravas, they were miscreants. They were extremely envious. There was Kamsa, who had defeated many other kings and was very cruel. He was cruel to sadhus who are just in the mood of serving the society. And he was encouraging sinful people to be more sinful. So there's no doubt he was a miscreant. He was a troublemaker, right? So simply, Krishna says, Shukadeva Goswami says, simply by his glance, he annihilated all the demoniac kings on the battlefield of Kurukshetra and declared victory for Arjuna. So even in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, actually, all these people in the opposite army, they have already killed. But Arjuna, you become the instrument and you can get the credit to defeating this Kaurava army who are representing Adharma. And what he did, finally, he instructed Uddhava about transcendental life and devotion, and then he returned to his abode in his original form. So after, obviously, the Mahabharata ended, he also gave what we call as Uddhava Gita. So he spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and later on he also gave transcendental devotional message to Uddhava, his very dear cousin and friend. So this is summarizing all pastimes of Krishna. And as you can see, half of it is in like Vrindavan Dham, and other half pastimes which are described are in like Mathura and Dwaraka. So let us also read Srila Prabhupada's purport. Let us read Srila Prabhupada's purport here. Anyone would like to read the purport? Chandan, you would like to read?
As stated in Bhagavad Gita 15.15, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 15.15, Vedascha Sarva Aham E Veda. By all Vedas, it is Krishna who is to be known. Lord Shri Krishna, setting an example by his own behavior, performed many ritualistic ceremonies described in the Vedas and established the principles of Grahastha life by marrying many wives and begetting many children just to show people in general how to be happy by living according to Vedic principles. The center of Vedic sacrifice is Krishna. Vedesh Sarvair Aham Ev Vedha. To advance in human life, human society must follow the Vedic principles personally demonstrated by Lord Krishna in his householder life. The real purpose of Krishna's appearance, however, was to manifest how one can take part in loving affairs with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Reciprocations of loving affairs in ecstasy are possible only in Vrindavan. Therefore, just after his appearance as the son of Vasudev, the Lord immediately left for Vrindavan. In Vrindavan, the Lord not only took part in loving affairs with his father and mother, the gopis and the cowherd boys, but also gave liberation to many demons by killing them. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 4.8, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam. The Lord appears in order to protect the devotees and kill the demons. This was fully exhibited by his personal behavior. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord is understood by Arjuna to be Purusham Shashvatam Divyam, the eternal transcendental supreme person. Here also we find the words
Utpadyateshu Purusha.
Upadeteshu Purusha. Therefore, it is to be concluded that the absolute truth is Purusha, a person. The impersonal feature is but one of the features of his personality. Ultimately, he is a person. He is not impersonal. And not only is he Purusha, a person, but he is the Lila Purushottam, the best of all persons.
Would like to continue? Small. This is the purport for the next verse.
Paritranaya sadhunam vinashita dushkritam. The mission of Lord Krishna was performed on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, for by the Lord's mercy Arjuna was victorious because due to being a great devotee, whereas the others were killed simply by the Lord's plans, which cleansed them of all sinful activities and enabled them to attain sadhupaya. Finally, Lord Krishna instructed Uddhav about the transcendental life of devotional service, and then in due course of time, he returned to his abode. The Lord's instructions in the form of Bhagavad Gita are full of Gyan and Vairagya, knowledge and renunciation. In the human form of life, one must learn these two things: how to become detached from the material world and how to acquire full knowledge in spiritual life. This is Lord's mission. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashita dushkritam. After executing his complete mission, the Lord returned to his home, Golok Vrindavan.
Yes. So this is where the 9th canto ends. And then in 10th canto, Parikshit Maharaj humbly requests Shukdev Goswami, could you please elaborate Krishna's pastimes right from the first pastime to the last one and before he went back to his abode in Golok Vrindavan. So that is where we come to our topic today in the second half. So why it is important to hear this purport? The reason it is important to hear this purport is for the same reason why the Acharyas, Vaishnava Acharyas, they recommend us to read the first 9 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam before reading the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Because only when we read the first 9 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam can we get an estimate that how great Lord is. So one Srila Prabhupada, so one devotee asked Srila Prabhupada, very interesting question. See, Prabhupada, it is impossible to understand God. That is what we hear in your lectures. Because how can one understand God? God is unlimited, infinite, in infinite aspects, not just in one aspect. In infinite aspects, He is infinite, right? So how? So even if we read your books and even if we hear your lectures, we come to the same conclusion that we cannot understand God. So Prabhupada said, yes, we read and hear to understand that you cannot understand God. Otherwise, you do not even come to that understanding that you cannot understand God. You think you get it, right? So it takes some time to absorb the knowledge to even understand how great Lord is. And with that, let us begin with this verse from Vishnu Puran that Parashar Muni had quoted to describe who is Bhagavan. So this very famous, there are many ways acharyas and great saints, they have defined who is God. Like in Vedanta Sutta, the second aphorism says, what is it? Janmadi asya yataha. One from whom everything in this creation emanates is God. Everything is not just the matter, what we see around us. It even includes us. It even includes emotions. It even includes intelligence. We're getting it right? So everything, God is one from whom everything emanates. Another very popular definition of who God is comes from Parashar Muni, who says this verse, Aishwarasya samagrasya viryasya yashasa shriya jnanam vairagyayashchaiva sannam bhaga etingana. So one who has these 6 opulences can be known as God. But there are some other criteria, 3 additional criteria on top of this criteria. For example, this is known as attraction principle. In this world, to whom are we attracted to? Based on our nature, psychophysical nature, we are either attracted to someone who is very beautiful looking, very handsome, very beautiful looking, either someone who is extremely rich and very successful in earning money, or like big entrepreneur, getting right, or someone who is extremely strong, well capable, physically very fit, has multiple Olympic medals, right? Or someone like who is very beautiful, or someone who is also famous, like actors, right? And someone who is also extremely knowledgeable, like great scientists, right? Like it was mentioned when there was some kind of voting going on. Who can be called person of 20th century? This can be, I mean, there are obviously so many organizations, and every organization can vote someone as person of the year, person of the century, right? They have this Forbes list of top 50 people, most influential people. Similarly, there was some other survey which they were trying to understand whom can they nominate as the, what do you say, person of the century, 20th century. They came, I think they narrowed down to two people, Albert Einstein, who is very knowledgeable, and Mahatma Gandhi, who showed renunciation. Obviously, and uh, and obviously Srila Prabhupada also, who actually practically distributed Krishna across the world with no support at the age of 70. No one in the past of all the history, not just 20th century, in all the previous centuries, now in the coming centuries, can we see of someone of Srila Prabhupada's stature, who a sannyasi going outside of the Indian subcontinent, opening 108 Krishna temples, opening a worldwide movement that is so healthily vibrant even today, right? And who had initiated thousands of disciples who are not from the Indian subcontinent, from people who are not even of this culture. But the point is, those who are very smart, very renounced, they also become very popular and people are attracted to, isn't it? So this is what this says. So wealth, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation, all in fullness. So not little bit, in fullness. For example, say there's Forbes list of most richest people in the world. That list changes every year, right? And even in this year, the top richest person, I believe last year it was Elon Musk. Even Elon Musk cannot say that I have all the wealth of the world, right? So, like those who are aware of Hindi, they say Lakpati, Karodpati, Arabpati. Can anyone say Lakshmipati? Can anyone say Lakshmipati? Only Krishna Vishnu can say, right? So he has all wealth, not like some wealth, like all of us have. So all of these qualities in full are there in God, and what everyone else gets is a fraction of that. And when we exhibit some of that fraction, people get attracted to that fraction, isn't it? But then there is something more to it. So one thing is all of these six qualities, they are infinite in quantity in God. Is that clear? That point clear? He is all beautiful. He has all the wealth of this world. He has all the strength. In fact, everyone who exhibits these qualities, they borrow from God. Second thing is they exist eternally. Like we just spoke of this list, Forbes list of top influential people or richest people. Those lists change every time, right? Isn't it? So the richest person today is not. Sometimes we see rulers of the world, like they were big rulers who were kings, who had kingdom expanding to multiple states and countries. But if you see the dependents, the descendants, many of them they're not doing so well also. So whether it is wealth, fame, getting right strength, none of this stay eternally to anyone. It stays only for some time, and for that some time that becomes like a role model. But God is someone who exhibits all of these qualities in full and all the time, right? And also all of them exist simultaneously. So this is a third quality. We see sometimes people have money, wealth, and fame, but they may not be the smartest person. Sometimes we see people who are extremely brilliant, they have fame, but may not be the most beautiful. So I think there's a very famous, I think, very famous exchange that happened when Albert Einstein was there. So this famous actress Marilyn Monroe, she had once met. It's very famous. If you do search Google on Google, you'll hear this. That Marilyn Monroe once met Albert Einstein, and in a humorous way said, "I think we both should give birth to children because then we'll get a child who is beautiful and intelligent." Because Marilyn Monroe was one of the most beautiful actresses or getting personalities that time, and Albert Einstein was the most intelligent. So she gave this proposal. I think in a humorous way. So our children can be both beauty with brains, what they call, right? It will be in reality. So some kind of genetic, what do you say? What do they call it? Mm, anyways, yeah. No, there is a specific term which generally people who are Darwinists they use. I was trying to remember that. But anyways, so when she gave this word, then Albert Einstein replied, "The proposal is good, but what if this happens that the child is beautiful like me and is like the viewers, right? I mean, Marilyn Monroe herself was obviously very smart too, but not as smart as Albert Einstein. So he just says, "What if this happens?" So he humorously came back with this response. So the hard reality of this world is not only are the opulences only for some time in the world, and none of the times people have all the opulences all of them together. You get this point clear? Okay. So coming to once Srila Prabhupada, so this is something so beautiful about God that He has all the six opulences in full all the time simultaneously and in infinite, and they exist eternally. So we were speaking about of all the six opulences, renunciation is very special quality. See, we see in this picture, we see Krishna is in Dwarka and he's being worshipped by everyone. Even Lord Shiva, Brahmaji is here worshipping him. So that is the station of Lord Krishna. Everyone is interested in worshipping. But the same Lord who is getting so much worship, can you guess what is the role Krishna plays in Kurukshetra war? In the battlefield of Kurukshetra, when Mahabharata is happening, what role does Krishna take? Krishna, sorry, what someone said? Yeah, charioteer. So basically, like a driver, a chauffeur. Krishna was acting as a chauffeur to his devotee Arjuna. And you will be surprised that in the heat of the moment of war, Krishna and Arjuna had come to a conclusion. How do you communicate? Say Arjuna has to fight, right? And this is like heat of the battle, right? Die or fight or die. You're getting that? It's a matter of life and death. So how do they communicate when Arjuna wants Krishna to move right, or when Arjuna wants Krishna to move left? Arjuna, will he focus on the battle while he's shooting arrows, or will he speak to Krishna? Oh, Krishna, can you move left or right? So at least in some time, you know how Arjuna and Krishna communicated? Arjuna would actually nudge Krishna on the left with his feet. When he's pushing Krishna on the left, means Krishna should move left. If in the right, then Krishna should move on the right. So can you imagine someone who is getting so much worship, taking such a humble position? Even in the Rajasuya Yajna, Krishna had personally taken. Anyone knows about the Rajasuya Yajna that took place that Yudhishthira Maharaj had conducted? Anyone knows what role did Krishna took in during the Rajasuya Yajna? Yeah, he was washing feet of sadhus. He was welcoming people. So the yajna was not being conducted by him. His very dear devotee Yudhishthira Maharaj, the Pandavas, were conducting it. And Krishna was acting as an assistant to them and happily washing the feet of sadhus and also welcoming, please come, please come. So that is why Krishna is so beautiful. So Krishna has the same root word as Akrishta. So Krishna means all attractive. That is why, because Krishna has all these opulences is full and is extremely sweet, naturally God is so famous. For all time to come, he is famous, right? And from all time to come, he is extremely attractive. Even if you see today, the biggest assemblies happen not when some popular artist comes and plays, right? Like in a stadium. No, the biggest population comes in Kumbh Mela. There are tens, hundreds of millions of people are coming together to take bath in Ganga. So God is most famous, and God is extremely dear because He is extremely renounced. We said in the beginning that God is the origin of everything. Janmadi Aseta. So even humility comes from Lord. So God is all humble also. So once Srila Prabhupada was traveling with his assistant. And this assistant, he was a young, very young devotee. He was assistant. And Srila Prabhupada very clearly tells, if you read his lectures and books, you're not this body, you're spirit soul. This is what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. And one should have practice discipline, which also means one should not unnecessarily be, what we say, fulfill sensual desires. One should be disciplined about it. There is time for everything. You can fulfill, you can gratify your senses, but in, what we say, in a balanced way, not in an excessive way, what the material world encourages. Just enjoy your senses as much as possible. So once Srila Prabhupada was traveling with his assistant, and then it happened that a very beautiful lady, she passed through, just close by. And this assistant had a first look at that lady, and she was walking, and he was extremely wonderstruck by her beauty. And then as the lady moved, he was also continuously like turning his neck to see where that lady was going at. Basically, he was very much enamored by that lady. So he went, he saw till the last moment till when he could see her. And then when he came back to his senses, he saw that Prabhupada was also looking at him. What was this guy doing? What was his assistant doing? So imagine you're in front of a Jagat Guru, Acharya like Srila Prabhupada. Naturally, as a disciple, you'll feel embarrassed, right? So he was feeling embarrassed that Srila Prabhupada was seeing me, that I'm what do you say, so I'm wonderstruck by the illusory beauty of this world. Then Srila Prabhupada made this very interesting comment to the assistant. Imagine if the creation is so beautiful, if the creation is so beautiful, imagine how beautiful the creator himself is. Because the beauty of that creation also comes from the creator. So Krishna is sweetest. Lord Krishna is the most beautiful personality in this existence, in this entire creation, not just in this universe, all universes. So here you can see two very beautiful pastimes. On the right side, you see there are the covered boys. These are all Gopa friends of Krishna here. And Krishna and Balaram are happily playing. They are so happily playing in Vrindavan. And they are also herding calves. These are not cows, these are calves. So this is before Krishna got the charge shape of herding cows. But prior to that, he was herding calves. You can see how happily they are moving. And do you see something surprising? You see, Krishna is not having footwear. It's not that footwear was absent there. People did have footwear. But Krishna is not wearing footwear. You know why Krishna is not wearing footwear? Anyone knows why Krishna is not wearing footwear? You'll come to know from this pastime, which happened on the night before Gopashtami. So Gopashtami. Yeah, that is a good answer, good guess. But there is more details into that. So Gopashtami is the time, it was a ceremony where Krishna was going to be given chargeship to now start herding cows. So, and cows means they are bigger, right? So now in the night before, Mother Yashoda was concerned that he is my very dear Lala. He's so young. He has just crossed 5 years old. He was like so young. Now he's like in his between 5 to 10 years old. So young. And now he is going to herd cows. So shouldn't my Lala have some protection for his lotus feet? Right? What if a cow steps on my Lala's lotus feet? He may get hurt, right? Mother Yashoda was extremely concerned for Krishna. And he says, Krishna, please from tomorrow onwards, you please wear this chappal, this footwear, okay? So that your feet are well protected. And Krishna tells to mother, he tells to his mother, Maya, you are telling that I should take footwear. Okay, I can wear footwear, but what about the cows? I will wear chappal if you arrange chappal for all my cows also. So Nanda Maharaj had 9 lakh cows, 900,000 cows. So cows have 4 legs, right? So how many pairs of chappal is needed for the cows? 9 lakh cows, 900,000. Anyone can answer? Anyone good in maths? How many pairs of chappals? 18, yes. So we need 1.8 million pairs of chappals is needed for cows. Then Mother Yashoda was saying, Awe Lala, how is this possible? Then Krishna said, no, 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 I'm not going to wear until you arrange chappal for all the cows. It is not fair that I wear and my devotees, my devotee cows do not wear. So this news came to know that this tug of war that is going on, this news went up to the cows. The cows heard it. So cows in Vrindavan are also very special. They are not like ordinary cows. They're very special. They're devotees. So those cows heard, oh, our dear Lord, who is so dear to us, and we are extremely concerned for his footwear because they consider his feet to be extremely soft. They should not hit any pebble which will prick him or any thorn which may actually go inside. And now this dear Krishna is so much worried about us. So let us do some service to Krishna. So all these cows decide to go out of their stable in the night, in hidden, not like under someone's knowledge. They go in that night. All the cows that day went in Vrindavan, and with their hooves, they actually stomped on Vrindavan's land. And they tried to pulverize all the stones into powder. So they wanted to ensure that the dust or the ground of Vrindavan is extremely soft for Krishna's lotus feet, because Krishna was not going to budge. So this is the very beautiful pastime of Gopashtami. So you see such loving, beautiful, loving reciprocation is present between Krishna and his devotee cows. Whereas Krishna is not ready to budge, he wants to serve the cows and cows want to serve Krishna. And even now, if you go to Vrindavan, especially the soil in Vrindavan is extremely soft. All the 12 forests, if you see. Another pastime is, have you all seen Krishna's peacock? Krishna has peacock feather. Have you seen? So Krishna's beauty is explained in this verse of Brahma Samhita. It is sung like this. Venum kvanantamalvinadalayataaksham bhavavatam samasitamada sundarangam kandalpakoti kamaniya vishesha shobham govindamadipavisam tamaham bhajami. So Bharavatamsam refers to the peacock feather that Lord Krishna has on his lotus head. So how did Krishna get this peacock feather? So once Krishna was dancing with his friends, and Krishna is the best dancer. Everything best superlative is belongs to Krishna. All classical dance, Kathak, Bharatanatyam, all the dances have come from Krishna, Radha, Krishna, Ramchandra. You're getting now? All have come. It is well understood that pretty much 90 to 95% of all classical songs are also dedicated to Vishnu, Krishna. You're getting now? Or Lord Shiva. It is dedicated. So all of these dance forms are also coming from there only. So Krishna is master of dance, and same as Radharani. So Krishna, that time he had danced, and he was dancing so well that the peacock saw, and the king of peacock also saw, and he also wanted to dance with Krishna. And they danced very well, and they were so happily dancing. And then Krishna, king of peacocks, really wanted to gift something to Krishna. Now, what will a peacock give gift? So the king actually, what he did, he plucked a feather from his body and he offered to Krishna. Oh Krishna, this is, please accept this gift. Now imagine Krishna, you saw this pictures, now he is being worshipped like this. And he now a peacock, king of peacocks is giving a feather to Krishna. So what did Krishna do? He didn't just put it in his pocket. Oh, thank you. You're getting that? It was not just courtesy. Where did he put his feather? He took the gift and put it on his head. So Krishna is a grateful God. So all of us have come to the temple. Krishna is noticing it. And Krishna is grateful for all of our presence. Whether we are very blissful or not, Krishna is extremely grateful. And he will remember. Krishna says also, Neha Bikamanashosti Patyavayo na vidyate Swalpamapi asya dharmasya trayatro mahato bhayat. He tells Arjuna that anything that you do, even tiny thing that you do in spiritual life to come closer to me, this will help you at the time of need. Have you heard this famous quote? A friend in need is a friend indeed, right? Krishna is the best friend, supreme friend, because he is going to help you at the time of need. Another thing. So Krishna, how Krishna is beautiful. Lord is very beautiful because his heart is very beautiful. So Krishna loves to give credit, all credit to his devotees. So we are going to discuss this pastime soon in the coming slides. So Jarasandha, he was Jarasandha, who was the king of Magadha. was Magad Raja, which is currently like in the region of Bihar, that side in northern India. So he was a very powerful king. And in fact, his two daughters, anyone knows, any guesses? Who was Krishna's, what we say, son-in-law? He's a famous personality in Krishna Lila. Jarasandha is a very powerful king. His son-in-law is also very powerful. And I think you said it. Yes, it is Kams, the uncle of Krishna, whom Krishna killed. So Jarasandha had two daughters and he married the two daughters to Kamsa. And after Krishna killed Kamsa, the two daughters came back to his home because they had to take a shelter. And Jarasandha had become very upset and he was anyways a miscreant. And now he got additional ammunition to become envious of God. So first time he went to Mathura, he wanted to really defeat the killer of his son-in-law. So he went with 23 Akshauhini soldiers. So he had collaborated with many other kings through some negotiation skills. He had arranged a very, very huge army, and 23 Akshauhini is really huge. It is millions of soldiers. In the Mahabharata, there were 18 Akshauhini soldiers. 11 were on the side of Kauravas and 7 on the side of Pandavas. So imagine that here, just one party had 23 Akshauhini soldiers, more than the number of soldiers who were present in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So now Jarasandha had come with 23 Akshauhini soldiers and they had practically surrounded the Mathura, the city of Mathura. And the king, even though, imagine Krishna actually killed Kamsa, right? Krishna killed Kamsa. So naturally, Krishna and Balram also killed many others, like Chanu, Mushtika, then there were many other wrestlers. So obviously, Kamsa could have been either killed by Balram or Krishna. Krishna killed Kamsa. So who will become the king? Who should become the king? Krishna, right? But did Krishna become the king? No, Krishna asked his grandfather Ugrasen to become the king. So Krishna likes to keep a humble nature. But when attack came, who came out first? Krishna and Balram. So actually it is explained in Bhagavad Puran, Krishna and Balram came out with only a handful of soldiers, very handful of soldiers. And these two, Krishna and Balram, single-handedly killed all the 23 Akshauhini soldiers. And they killed everyone and left only one person. Who was it? Jarasandha. And what was the reason why they left Jarasandha? He could have killed Jarasandha as well, right? Like he killed Kamsa. So Krishna is smart. So we say, right? Vinashaya Chaduskritam. So Krishna knew that if he leaves Jarasandha, he will go and he will become even more envious and he will do negotiation and he will bring even more adharmic kings and soldiers in front of Mathura. So I don't have to go far away. He will only do all the homework to bring the other miscreants, or those who support adharma. And Krishna and Balaram just have to come out of Mathura fort and defeat all of them and again leave Jarasandha. So this thing happened 17 times. Jarasandha every time would come with the equal or bigger army next time because he wanted to be sure. Because if he has to defeat next time, he needs to be more stronger, right? So he would come even with huge strength of army, and every 17 times he was defeated. One thing we should really be impressed, Jarasandha had great determination, right? So this is what you will find even in Asuras. So it's not that Asuras or Rakshasas or those who have Asuric mentality have less determination. They can have very good determination. But unfortunately, their determination is guided towards creating harm for Lord and his devotees. Yeah. So after 17 times, Jarasandha came 18th time. And we'll discuss that pastime later on in the next slides. So in the 18th time, Krishna and Balaram actually fled from the battlefield. And you know who killed Jarasandha at the end? Bhima killed. He allowed Bhima to kill Jarasandha. So he gave the credit to Bhima. Though Krishna and Balaram could have easily killed Jarasandha. Also, if you see, we just now discussed, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that actually all these soldiers in Kurukshetra war, they've already defeated. I've already defeated them. You just become my instrument. But we see that Arjuna gets the credit and Bhima gets the credit to kill all the 100 Kaurava brothers. And Arjuna gets the credit to defeat all the Maharathis like Bhishma, Dronacharya, you're getting now. So Krishna loves to give credit. And we all know the Krishna Sudama pastime. This itself is a huge, big pastime. But you see, Sudama and Krishna, they both were in the same Gurukul, in the Gurukul of Sandipani Muni. And they were like friends in the Gurukul. Krishna stayed in the Gurukul only for 1 year because, like, generally we have kindergarten to 12th grade, and then there was undergrad, then there's grad, then there's PhD, and so on, right? So in the Gurukul of Sandipani Muni, Krishna joined the school late because he was not in Mathura. He was in Vrindavan. Krishna killed Kamsa at the age of roughly at the age of 11 years, when he was 11 years old. So he went to the Gurukula on 12, but he completed all his education in just 1 year and came back. In fact, it is said that in one day he was completing one art. There were 64 primary arts. He was learning one word art. He was becoming perfect, professional. Like he was the best person possible in that art in just 1 day. So when he was leaving the Gurukul, Krishna and Sudha, during that time, Krishna and Sudama would render service to their Guru together. And they had developed great friendship. I'll not speak this pastime in detail, but I would highly urge to you that if you have not heard this pastime, please read it. It's very beautiful pastime. So Sudama, Krishna obviously was king of Dwarka, became king of Dwarka, and Sudama was a Brahmana, but he was very poor. They were so poor that actually Sudama and his wife used to be thinking, what will our children eat tomorrow? They were not even having enough to eat. And then his wife humbly and very gently requested, come on, Sudama, you're a friend to Krishna. He's Lakshmipati. Lakshmi Devi is always there next to his heart, and that's why you have this Srivat Sachinna. I'm sure if you even just keep a note to Krishna that please, can you get, I'm in this tough situation, you can share some wealth. Krishna, even before saying it, he will fulfill it because Krishna is of the best of all masters, right? So, and why it is so sweet that Sudama's wife was doing this. Why? Because she was especially concerned for her own husband. Because she would see that Sudama would be in hunger while sleeping because he would want to ensure that his children get or wife get food first. So she was especially concerned for Sudama and her children. So Sudama decides to go to Dwarka, but he wanted to take some gift. But what gift can a poor person give? So her wife actually borrowed some poha, if you know chipped rice, like you make chuda out of poha. It's like with some spices. That's what she gave to Krishna to offer to the king of Dwarka. And then Sudama pushed, and he was in two minds. Will Krishna even recognize me or not? And we know how the pastime proceeds. That as soon as he enters Dwarka, the news goes to Krishna because the guardians of the fort of Dwarka, they ask, who are you? And he says, I'm Sudama. I used to be friend of Krishna. And then the knowledge goes, and as soon as Krishna hears Sudama has come, Krishna comes running. He's running so fast that is like his clothes are flying, and all of his assistants and soldiers, they are also following Krishna. And Krishna and Sudama embrace. And Sudama takes him to his home, and you can see in this beautiful picture, he puts Sudama, because kings, they respect Brahmanas. He places Sudama on top of a beautiful bedstead, and he actually serves. And his dear wife, Rukmini Devi, is also helping Krishna in assisting. See, Krishna is king. Don't you think he has lot of assistants? He could have asked his assistants to do the service, right? But this is speciality of Lord, and anyone who is very refined in consciousness, they don't deter from doing service. You can get the service done by others, but everyone, they happily get involved in the service. So Krishna is happy personally washing the feet of Sudama. And Krishna actually asked, you must have brought some gift to me. Then Sudama is trying to hide, looking at the opulence of Dwarka, but Krishna snatches it and he happily eats the chuda that Sudama does. And Sudama is extremely heart touched that he's like the same friend I had at Gurukul times. There is nothing has changed, even though he has become king. And then the conversation happens, and then they discuss, you remember what we did in this, you remember our Guru had asked us to do this, but we were still together, and a lot of histories they discuss, the nostalgia. And then time comes for Sudama to go back to his home. And so then while returning, Sudama has two conflicting thoughts. Sudama has two conflicting thoughts. One thought is he feels very happy that he was not able to put this proposal that I'm actually in need, because he was feeling very embarrassed about how I can ask Krishna. I'm a devotee of Krishna. I'm not devotee of Krishna because I want something in return. I'm a devotee because I want to be devotee, right? And the second thing, but he was also thinking, but what will happen? What will happen to my wife and children? I should have thought about them. So he was like in this conflict of thought. He was going back, and then when he went back to his home, he was trying to find where is this hut, because instead of hut, he was seeing only big palaces. Even the assistants, or what do you say, maid servants of those palaces had big nice homes. He was thinking, where have I come? But then later on, what happens? He sees a lady and two kids running towards him with very great lot of ornaments and jewelry, with like very, what we say, kingly dress. And then he realizes it is none other than his wife and two kids. And then he's unable to understand how it happens. Then it is explained that when Krishna was eating, one time he was eating the handful of chuda in his mouth. Actually, Lakshmi Devi was showering all her mercy on Sudama. And actually, Rukmini stops when he was going to eat third time, because he was telling, you have already given too much. It is too much for many generations only. I think you're doing too much. So it is so sweet, na? Sudama never asked. Krishna fulfilled without asking. So this is how beautiful Lord and the relationship between Lord and his devotees. So now coming to the topic of today, appearance of Dwarka. Today's topic was Krishna's pastimes in Dwarka. So we were speaking about Krishna defeating Jarasandha 17 times, right? So the 18th time, Jarasandha, along with Kalyavana, were going to attack at the same time. So imagine this is like huge armies. And you can imagine so many times Jarasandha is coming. It also means every time there is some war, there is some anxiety, right? In the, what we say, in the vicinity of the, what we say, uh, in the kingdom. Like I personally come from the Indian subcontinent, and I think many here are also coming from that side, that Indian side of the subcontinent. And we know that few months ago there was some war-like situation going on. And I remember, like many of my relatives, even myself, they would not sleep. They would be watching news, because many things would activity would happen in the night. So instead of sleeping, they would be watching news. What is happening latest? So you're getting, citizens also get, even though they may be like thousands of kilometers away, there is some anxiety, isn't it, when war takes place? So Krishna was feeling not happy for his citizens, that they have to undergo so much trouble because this king, and just for me to establish dharma, my devotees are suffering. Clear na this point? And this 18th time Jarasandha was going to come, he was going to come with biggest army. And not only he, there was another person called Kalyavana who had done tapasya to Lord Shiva and got a lot of benedictions from Lord Shiva. And he had an army even bigger than Jarasandha. And both of these people were going to attack on roughly the same time. So he wanted to remove the stress, anxiety, and also wanted to keep his devotees protected. So what Krishna arranges is, he arranges for his Yogamaya. And he calls the architect of the demigods of the Swargaloka. Anyone knows the name? Huh? Vishwakarma. So he calls the architect of the what do you say, Swargaloka, and he says, I want a new city to be built for my devotees. And then, so actually Dwarka was not there. Lord's arrangement, the land got, it came up, it got, what do you say, extended, land got extended in the ocean. And then with, under the guidance of Vishwakarma, the whole city of Dwarka was built. And there was no city as opulent as Dwarka. There were, the roads itself was so perfect, so perfectly clean. We like seeing cities which are very well built, right? Here, cities were not just well built, they were extremely auspicious. There was no dearth of auspicious ingredients like ghee, right, camphor, and so many other auspicious ingredients. There was no dearth of it. There was a lot of place, lot of facility available for doing yajna. The palaces didn't have gems just inside the palaces. Even the walls had gems. The marble was so perfectly clear. So he, with through Vishwakarma, a city was built which was incomparable to any other cities. It was more opulent than even Swarga. Can you imagine? And then what he did, the night before the war that was going to take place, everyone was sleeping, peacefully sleeping. So what he did, Krishna arranged Yogamaya to just move them. He had arranged like accommodation for everyone. Assignment was well done. So when people had slept, next day morning when they woke up, they were already in Dwarka. So it's not like he had to book some air tickets or arrange for big road travel for these thousands and millions of individuals. With help of Yogamaya, when the Mathuravasis, when they were sleeping, along with the cot, teleported along with the cot, so that their sleep was also not disturbed. Just they had to wake up and they were in Dwarka with nice home, probably better homes one than what was in Mathura. So that is how Dwarka came into existence. And next day, when what we say, Kalyavan came first. Kalyavan came with a huge army, tens of millions of soldiers. And he also had benedictions from Lord Shiva. And we know it is very interesting that Kalyavana and then Krishna and Balaram come. Actually, here Krishna comes. And you'll see very interesting here. Krishna is not so much interested in spending time in this battle. What he's interested in is jaldi kaam khatam karo, means get this thing sorted out quickly, because he had something very urgent to do soon. What was that urgent thing to do? We'll hear next in next slide. So when Kalyavana comes, Krishna comes outside the fort of Mathura, and Kalyavan obviously encourages him to fight. Then what does Krishna do? He starts running. And then Kalyavan thinks, what is this? So generally, among Kshatriyas, there is an etiquette that you fight like equals. So if one has lifted sword, the other person will also lift sword. It's not that before he comes only he'll take a shooting arrow and he'll kill that person. No, because there is some kind of honesty, etiquette that honorable Kshatriyas would follow. So here, Krishna had a minor tussle and then Krishna started moving. And then, so what happened? Here Krishna was without arms. So Kalyavan also followed the etiquette. So he left his arms and he started running behind Krishna. And it is very beautifully explained in Bhagavad Puran that actually Krishna was not running. He was like peacefully walking, like slight jog, fast walking. And Kalyavana was putting his level best to run very quickly. So even though Kalyavana was running, apparently from a technical perspective, he should be running much faster, but he could never touch Krishna. Even though they were very close to Krishna, you can imagine Krishna is walking and Kalyavana is running, but he's unable to touch, because Krishna cannot be touched by a simple person like Kalyavana. So only when Krishna allows, can someone touch him. And when Krishna wants everyone to touch him, everyone can touch him simultaneously. Like the Gopa friends in Vrindavan once had a competition. So Krishna had many, many Gopa friends, thousands and millions of Gopa friends. So once they saw Krishna was there on top of the hill, and a lot of the close friends, they decided, let us have a competition. Like I have two daughters, they also have competition, a running competition. Who will touch the tree first? So they also had a competition. Let us see who will touch Krishna first. So all of them put their level best in running fast to touch Krishna. And do you know who the winner was? Everyone won. Everyone was able to touch Krishna simultaneously. That can only happen with Krishna and in Krishna's spiritual world, like Vrindavan and Golok Vrindavan. So here Kalyavana, coming back to the past time, so Kalyavana was trying to try his level best to touch Krishna, but he couldn't touch Krishna because he was so sinful. He did not have the right attitude. And then Krishna navigates him to the cave of Muchkunda. And then I'll not go into a lot of details of the pastime, but basically Muchkunda was a king in earlier times. He was helping the demigods. Muchkunda was helping the demigods to fight battles with the asuras. And in that context, what happened is he was fighting the battle in a higher plane, in a different plane, where time moves much slower compared to how time moves in earth. And because of that, he was very sincere in his effort to assist the demigods like Indra, Chandra and others. He fought the battle very religiously and for a long, long time. And once the battle ended and he was like, his valor was shown, everyone was so pleased with Muchkunda, because the reason he was fighting was because he was asked and he was fighting it for dharma. And then Muchkunda said, okay, now I'll go back. now my service is done, I'll go back. But then the demigods, they say they feel bad that, you know what, you were actually fighting battle in a different plane. And hundreds of years, many millennia have already passed the place where you are from. So all your family members, in fact, your generations, grandparents, grandchildren, no one is there on this planet. So then he was like heartbroken. Then he says, then what? But you tell us, any desire you have, we'll fulfill. Then Machukunda said, I'm tired of this battle. I want to take rest. I want to sleep. And anyone who disturbs my sleep, I will burn him into ashes. So Machukunda asked for this benediction. And demigods, it was a small benediction. They said, Tadastu. Fine, you can have it. So Machukunda was in this cave. He came to a cave and he wanted to take rest. But you see, he was actually assisting devotees. So he's going to get the result, positive result of it now. So Lord Krishna comes and then he goes and he enters this cave where Muchkunda is sleeping and he arranges for his cloth to be placed on top of Muchkunda. And he goes and he's like kind of hiding from Muchkunda, from this Kalyavana. And Kalyavana obviously follows. He comes into the cave and he sees someone is sleeping and he has the cloth of Krishna. So he thinks, come on, how can a Kshatriya take so badly, shelter in such a bad way? So he tries to nudge that person thinking he's Krishna. He tries to nudge him to wake him up. And then finally Muchkunda is woken up by Kalyavana. And then when he opens his eyes, he sees Kalyavana is the first person he sees and he burns him into ashes. And then later on, Lord Krishna appears in front of Muchkunda and he gives his beautiful darshan to Muchkunda and he gives him actually a devotional service to him. And now Muchkunda, he gets what we say, all the services he rendered, he gets the fruit of it. And he finally leaves that cave to render pure devotional service. And then after that, Krishna comes back to the Mathura fort because there you should imagine Kalyavana's army is still there because Kalyavana had followed him, right? So Krishna comes back, he defeats all the soldiers. And then Jarasandha immediately comes. So one very important thing to note here is that whenever Krishna kills, Krishna is absolutely pure. So any action that Krishna, Lord, does is also absolutely pure. So even something as harsh as death is there, even that is absolutely pure and beneficial for that person. Now one may think, how is that beneficial? So Bhagavad Gita says, this body is we are spirit souls. Krishna says it, that this body is just a temporary medium in which we are experiencing this world. And once this expiry date is done, you'll take another body. So Krishna, even when he's defeating, he's killing all these asuras and all the soldiers of the asuras, they get the highest benediction. They get liberated. All their papa is removed. So actually, if they would not be killed, they would get a much worse destination. They would go to hellish planets because they had committed so much sinful activities. But here, because Krishna killed them, they get a liberated state. So he comes, he defeats Kalyavana's army, and then Jarasandha comes again with a huge army. And that time, Krishna gets the name called as Ranuchor, because that time again Krishna runs on the battlefield. Here, Krishna and Balram are there together, and they run. And they run, and you should imagine, it is very interesting to see that Jarasandha is a person who was defeated 17 times in the past. But still here he is thinking that Krishna is actually fearful of me. So he actually starts following Krishna. And Krishna and Balaram actually climb on top of this huge hill, very tall hill. And Jarasandha, what he does is he thinks this person, Krishna and Balaram, are fearful of me. So he arranges many logs of wood, surround that hill with logs of wood because he thought Krishna and Balaram are hiding in the forest. So let me burn the forest and burn everything around that hill so that Krishna and Balaram also burn into ashes. So he actually arranges for his soldiers to bring lots of logs of wood and he actually burns. So practically the whole mountain is like burning, on top of the mountain is burning. And that time Krishna and Balaram jump from that hill. So and then when Jarasandha sees this, he thinks Krishna and Balaram are dead because they are unable to find anything. Yeah, they are unable to find Krishna, thinking, who can escape? Who can escape this fire? Interestingly, we see Prahlad Maharaj also escaped fire. So naturally, Krishna and Balram, they can easily escape fire, but instead of uh, being present in that fire, they jump off the hill and they escape. Never. I mean, they don't interact, or you can say counteract Jarasandha. They just go back to Mathura. And why he does comes to the next pastime. It is because Rukmini, Mother Rukmini had sent a letter to Krishna. Mother Rukmini had sent a letter to Krishna asking Krishna to come and take her. So Krishna had heard, Rukmini had already heard about Lord Krishna, and she had already given her heart to Krishna. So this was like the first love letter that we have ever heard. This is before the concept of love letter we hear in this world. Rukmini had written the first love letter to Krishna. And Krishna wanted to, what do you say, reciprocate with this letter by going to Vidarbha and actually bring Rukmini Devi and marry Rukmini Devi. So actually, when the Brahmana, Rukmini had sent this Brahmana, and if you get a chance, please read this letter, which is very beautiful. He tells, when Brahmana says that Rukmini has, Rukmini has this letter, had sent this letter to you, and how Rukmini is actually desperately looking and waiting for Krishna to come, for him to come and pick her up. Otherwise, she's going to give her life away. Just like what we hear in TV serials and movies. Now, here actually, this is like original rasa, original mellow from where all others are actually taken from. Rukmini said, if you don't come, then I will practically leave my life. Then actually Krishna reciprocates and he says to the Brahmana, you know what? I have also been thinking of Rukmini Devi since many times, from long time. So actually, so Krishna and Rukmini, they are divine consorts. They are always husband and wife, all time to come. So they both had naturally had to come together. So even when Krishna and Rukmini were getting married, were going to get married. So when Krishna had come from, he left Mathura and he came to Dwarka. Actually, he came first because he wanted to give assurance to Rukmini Devi. So he came with the Brahmana, and the Brahmana comes to Vidarbha saying that I was able to give this information to Rukmini. So actually, Rukmini Devi was desperately looking what happened, why this Brahmana messenger to whom I sent, he hasn't come back. Is it that the messenger wasn't able to reach, or he reached and he heard a negative news and he didn't want to come back and give the negative news, the sad news to me? So she was like hallucinating all these different possibilities. And then suddenly the Brahmana comes and tells, oh, Mother Rukmini, your desire is going to be fulfilled. And I was able to give this letter to Krishna. And you know what? Krishna is actually at the outskirts of your kingdom. So when Krishna comes, so Rukmini Devi's marriage, so the Rukmini Devi's father's name was Bhishmaka, and he had 5 sons and 1 daughter. 5 sons, no, 5 sons and 1 daughter. The eldest of whom was Rukmi. So Bhishmaka and Rukmini, 4 sons and 1 daughter. So Bhishmaka really wanted, what we say, his daughter to marry Krishna, and Rukmini naturally wanted to marry Krishna. But Rukmi was evil-minded, was very envious of Krishna, and he had great friendship with Shishupal. So Shishupal is actually cousin of Krishna, and we'll see that Shishupal is going to be killed by Krishna later on, because and also in the previous incarnations, Shishupal and Dantavakra were also Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, Ravana and Kumbhakarna, and this pastime they are going to become as Shishupal and Dantavakra. So Rukmini had forcibly, he pushed his whole family, no, 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 we should get Rukmini married to Shishupal because he was friends with Shishupal. And so Rukmini Devi's marriage was going to take place. And the Bharat, which we say procession from the bridegroom's side, were all coming. So Shishupal, along with Jarasandha, his Shishupal's company was also like demoniac only. His friends were also like Jarasandha, Paundavaka, and all of these had come to assist him, because generally when a procession of bride or bridegroom comes, the relatives and friends only go. So his friends were kind of company were like these kind of people, Paundraka, Jarasandha, and like this. So this party had come, and there were already some rumors going on in the kingdom that Rukmini had sent some letter to Krishna. And then what happens in this rumors? Krishna actually comes to the to the outskirts of the kingdom. So you can imagine the tension building up for everyone. So the ladies in Vidarbha, in that Kaudinyapur, when they saw Krishna, they felt so nice. Krishna is so beautiful, so perfect. We feel that Krishna is the perfect husband for Rukmini. And they also felt that Rukmini is the perfect consort for Krishna. So this was the desires of all the devotees within the Kaudinyapur also. And then, as Rukmini had told in the letter, that there's going to be this procession to the temple, and that time there will be less security. You can pick me up that time. And while this was going to happen, was when Krishna had earlier come to the, what do you say, the outskirts of the kingdom, Bhishmaka came to know. So he very nicely welcomed Krishna, gave him nice accommodation. And Krishna had come first, then behind them, Balaramji and other Yadus had also come, because they thought, they came to know that Krishna has come to take Rukmini Devi. So they wanted to ensure that they give protection to their Krishna. So they also came on time. And then this incident comes where Krishna actually kidnaps Rukmini Devi. And Rukmini Devi is extremely happy. So you can imagine, it's completely unexpected. You can see in this story, like there is in these pictures, like there is this beautiful temple, and there were ladies assisting Rukmini Devi, and then there were people looking here. There were other soldiers and armies looking here. And Krishna suddenly comes in between, picks Rukmini Devi, and goes away. And this was unexpected for everyone. And everyone is thinking, what has happened? It even took some time for people to understand what is happening. And then finally, Shishupal and everyone else come to know, oh, Rukmini Devi has been taken by Krishna. This is completely unfair. Actually, Shishupal became dejected only. And they wanted to attack Krishna. But just they were going to attack Krishna, Balaram and Yadu's party, they come in between, and they don't allow this army to go any ahead to catch Krishna. So here the clash happens, and Balaram ji and other Yadus easily defeat these other kings. And then after that, Javasana and others, they speak the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita to Shishupal, saying, destiny is there. You have to accept destiny. We should not be very much attached. Today it is our time. Tomorrow, so today it is his time. Tomorrow it will be our time. So they give philosophy to Shishupal to somehow pacify him, and they retreat. But Rukmi, who is the elder brother of Rukmini Devi, he is not perturbed. He wants to catch hold of Krishna and bring Rukmini Devi. And he says, if I do not bring back Rukmini Devi and defeat Krishna, kill Krishna, I will not come back to this kingdom. So he actually he drives very fast, takes the fastest horses, and goes in search for Krishna. And actually he's able to reach Krishna again by Krishna's mercy only. Because Kalyavan was not able to touch Krishna and not able to reach out to Krishna. Here Rukmini was able to reach towards Krishna because of Krishna's mercy only. And then Rukmini he challenges Krishna to fight, and Krishna easily defeats him. And in fact, Krishna later on binds Rukmini, and you can see here he disfigures Rukmini. So what happened is Krishna was going to kill Rukmini, but you can see Rukmini Devi is humbly requesting Krishna, don't kill Rukmini, he's my brother. So among Kshatriyas, insult is considered as good as death. Dishonor is as good as death. So Krishna dishonors Rukmini by actually, like in parts, actually shaving him. So Rukmini feels embarrassed and insulted. So he actually does not go back to his kingdom. He actually opens a new kingdom. It is explained in Bhagavad Gita. He brings up a new city because Kshatriyas, they stick to their vow. He said he will not come back until he brings Rukmini Devi and Rukmini, but he comes. And you'll see it is very interesting that even though this great tension is there between Rukmini and Krishna, Rukmini still loved his sister Rukmini Devi. And later on we'll see Rukmini's daughter married Pradyumna. And then granddaughter also married Aniruddha. Aniruddha only? I think Aniruddha. Aniruddha married Usha. There's one more because I'm not able to remember. He married one of the grandchildren of Krishna, actually. So even with this tension, there was still some marriages happening between the two because Rukmini had a heart for Rukmini Devi. So this is the beautiful pastime of Krishna marrying Rukmini. But wait, this is not the only pastime. Krishna also marries. Anyone knows who is she? Now we are going to speak in chronological order. Who Krishna marries? Krishna first marries Rukmini Devi. Next he marries Jambavati. So there is a huge, there is a very beautiful pastime of Shamantaka jewel, which we'll not cover now. So Krishna also marries Jambavati when Krishna goes in search of the Shamantaka jewel, because Satyajit had, what do you say, uh, he had accused that Krishna had stolen Shamantaka jewel and also killed his brother, which Krishna had absolutely no interest in Shamantaka jewel. Actually, Krishna earlier had recommended Satyajit. He had this very special jewel which actually generates gold when it is worshipped. It would create 100 kgs of gold every day if you worship. So that was how special Shamantaka jewel was. And he had received that jewel from sun god, because Satyajit was a worshipper of sun god and sun god had gifted it to him. So Krishna recommended, see, the best of things should be with the king. So why don't you give this to Ugrasen and others? But he was not ready. And then Satyajit's brother also, Satyajit liked to flaunt that jewel, and his brother, I believe it's Prasahana, he also took the jewel to feel, he was feeling very good while carrying the jewel, but he was killed by a lion, and that lion was later on killed by Jambavan, and Jambavan got hold of the jewel. So Krishna was actually in search of the jewel, because Satyajit said, "Oh, you remember Krishna gave me that suggestion that I should give this jewel to Ugrasen. And because I didn't follow it properly, he stole it." Then Krishna said, "See, even so, Krishna, to remove the charge of accusation, not because Krishna was fearful of Satyajit, because he wanted to establish dharma, right? He wanted to say that God means they stick to Maryada. So he went in search of the jewel, and then he meets Jambavan and then defeats Jambavan. So Jambavan is the same Jambavan who was also there in Ramayana. And then Jambavan, while during the fight only, he comes to know, oh, he is my same Lord. Because first, when Jambavan and Krishna started fighting, Jambavan thought he's just an ordinary warrior. And after fighting for months, then he comes to know, oh, he's my same Lord Ramchandra. Here is Krishna. So then, out of gratitude, he wants his daughter Jambavati to marry. And when Krishna brings back the Shamantaka jewel back to the kingdom, back to Satyajit, Satyajit was feeling very guilty that such a big accusation he has given. So he also marries Satyabhama. He marries Satyabhama to Krishna. And Satyabhama always had desire to marry Krishna. But actually, prior to that, Satyajit had met Kritavarma, and Kritavarma had proposed that I should marry Satyabhama. But later on, Satyajit marries Satyabhama to Krishna. So actually, Kritavarma later on, we'll see, he actually he arranges for killing of Satyabhama's father. So as much as sweetness is there, we also understand that devotees' lives also have a lot of troubles. See Rukmini Devi, she had such pure desire, but her brother got disfigured. And later on, Balramji kills Rukmi because he offends very badly and he does cheating. So Krishna marries after Jambavati, he marries Satyabhama. Then he marries Kalindi, who is none other than Yamuna Devi. So Kalindi was actually meditating. Kalindi is none other than Yamuna. Yamuna is who? Yamuna is daughter of Sun, Suryadev. So Sun God has two daughters, Yama and Yami. Yama is Yamraj, which all of us have heard. And Yami is Yamuna Devi, who is Kalindi. And Krishna marries Kalindi because Kalindi was actually doing tapasya for many, many years to marry Krishna, and Krishna fulfilled her desire. Then he married Mitravinda, and he also married Satya, Bhadra. Satya and Bhadra. And Lakshmana and Mitravinda, again, their families were not very, what do you say, encouraging to marry Krishna. So Mitravinda and Lakshmana also wanted to marry Krishna very dearly. But in similar fashion, how Rukmini Devi got married to Krishna, they also got married to Krishna. Krishna had to come and take her, like in the case of Mitravinda and Lakshmana, Krishna came in the Swayamvara and won them back basically in the battle. And after this, you can see in this pastime, Krishna and Satyabhama come to defeat Narakasur, because Narakasur had done a lot of havoc. He had kidnapped many, many princesses. 16,000 princesses he had kidnapped. And he had imprisoned them. Also, he was creating a lot of havoc. And Narakasura is also actually none other than son of Bhumi Devi. So, and Satyabhama is considered Satyabhama's, what to say, Ansh is Bhumi Devi. So he wanted Satyabhama's permission because his son is going to be killed. So Krishna actually defeats Narakasura, and then he releases 16,000 princesses. And all of these 16,000 princesses wanted to marry Krishna. They genuinely wanted Krishna as their husband. So Krishna fulfilled them. So actually, we see the same theme when Draupadi meets Krishna's queens. So actually, after the Kurukshetra war, again an eclipse happens. And then all the Krishna, the Yadus, everyone come there, along with the Pandavas, and even the Rajvasis come at the, what do we say, uh, in this Kurukshetra at the time of eclipse. And that time Draupadi meets the queens. And Draupadi wanted to hear what is your story, how you got married to Krishna, because everyone wants to hear how you got married to Krishna. And everyone had pretty much the same theme of the story. Oh, we were really humbly begging in the core of our hearts, we wanted to marry Krishna. We wanted to become a maid servant of Krishna, and Krishna kindly fulfilled it. So that is how Krishna. It's not that Krishna wanted to marry, had so much desire to marry a lot of women. No. So one thing is he married, he fulfilled the desires of his devotees, and he fulfilled them to great extent. So now if someone marries more than one person, his time gets divided, right? So first of all, Krishna arranged opulent palaces for each of the queens. So there were 16,108 palaces in Dwarka, one palace for each of the queens. And Krishna had the Sudharma Parliament building. So Krishna was the king, so he would naturally go to the Parliament building for his meetings and to give his presence to the assembly. So Narad Muni was wondering, how is Krishna keeping all the queens happy? Because generally no one can keep people, if you have multiple consorts, happy. So Krishna observed a very interesting thing. When he went to each palace, he thought, let me see if I can instigate one of the queens, saying that, see, you're not getting enough attention from Krishna. But when he goes to each palace, he sees Krishna spending time with each queen. So he sees this very interesting miracle that when Krishna is going to the parliament building, 16,108 Krishnas come outside the palace, they meet, they become one, go to the parliament, and when they come back, they again become 16,108, and then they go back to each palace. So Shri Krishna Bhagavan ki jai. So on this holy occasion of Krishna Janmashtami, so brief summary, we spoke about the ninth canto verse, where Shukadeva Goswami summarizes Krishna's pastimes, in which half of the portion was about Krishna's pastimes in Dwarka, and obviously about how he allowed the Mahabharata to take place. So in that context, we discussed Krishna's pastimes in Dwarka. We had one last detail with each queen. So Krishna had total of 161,080 children. With each queen, he had 10 children. And actually, I wanted to discuss this other pastime, but we don't have time. So we'll just end here. So let us, with a lot of devotion, pray to Krishna, and also to the devotees of Krishna, like Srila Prabhupada and all the acharyas, that we also get some level of devotion towards Lord on this birthday. And on this great occasion of Janmashtami, which is Lord's appearance day, let us also offer some kind of a birthday gift that we give. Generally, if we go to anyone's birthday, we give some gift. So on Lord's appearance, we can also give a gift. The best gift what we can give to Lord is chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So please repeat after me. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare. So this is a prayer where we are requesting Krishna, oh Radhamani, oh Krishna, please engage me in your service. So we can offer love to Krishna, and Krishna will very much happily go reciprocate with us. Shri Shri Radha Gopala Bhagavan ki jai. Shri Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maharani Sudarshan ki jai. Shri Shri Gauranitai ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai.